Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Locker Room Podcast. We took just a little bit of a break during the holiday season. I hope everyone had, a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and a Happy New Year. We are so excited to be back. We just kicked off our spring semester of classes this week, and so we are excited to be able to get back into some new episodes for everyone. We also are so excited to announce that we have a permanent filming location for the podcast. So right now we are in Topper Studio, which was sponsored by Comfort Maker Air Conditioning and Heating. So we're super excited just to be able to film in the same spot every single week whenever we talk to our different athletes here on campus. My name is Kelsey Kyle. I'm the host of the podcast, but I am also the head acrobatics and tumbling coach here on campus. And I feel like I haven't really introduced myself more so than just saying my name and that I'm the host of the podcast, but I am the head acro and tumbling coach. And I'm super excited just because we're getting close to time to kick off our season. And I'm even more excited because today, for the first time, I'm going to sit down and talk to one of my own athletes from my team. Today's guest is a fifth-year senior that has had just a really unique journey getting to West Liberty. She's transferred a couple of times, but ultimately she was able to find home here on the hilltop. She is just an absolute rock star of an athlete. She is so strong, so versatile, and just one of the best athletes that you could ever coach. She also is a multiple different time all MEC athlete, all academic athlete, and just great person all around. So I'm super excited to get into today's episode so you guys can listen from her, get to know her a little bit better, and hopefully learn some more about acrobatics and tumbling. Welcome to the podcast, Abby.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. Well, first off, I'm so excited because of all of the interviews I've done so far, you're the first person on my team
Yay.
that I'm interviewing. And so I'm so excited just since you're the first acrobatics and tumbling athlete.
Mm-hmm.
And so normally in the beginning of each podcast episode, I'm like, okay, how'd you get started playing basketball, soccer, football, whatever it is?
Yeah.
And for our sport, it's a little bit different because most of the times our athletes don't grow up doing acrobatics and tumbling. You grow up doing something else before you come to college. And I'm also hoping that we have some listeners today that maybe don't know that much about acrobatics and tumbling.
Yeah.
So what I was thinking is that to start off, we could try to explain to everyone listening what our sport is all about.
Yeah.
And when I was trying to pick a person that would be like the best to do that, I thought you, because this is your fifth year doing acro. You've been doing it longer than everyone else. So I'm thinking you might know what you're talking about.
Hopefully. Yeah, at this point, yeah, hopefully.
Okay. So Abby, go ahead and tell everyone what the events of the acro meet are.
Okay, so to break it down, so we start off with compulsory, which is how we have compulsory acro, compulsory toss, tumbling, and is that it? Pyramid.
Yeah.
And then we move on to elements, so acros, which is specific groups get to go out on the floor and do certain skills. So there's a 5, 6, 7 element. So that's how many skills you can do per element.
Yep.
And then we move on to.
You're just forgetting pyramids, and that's
my
favorite event.
I know, it is my favorite event. I'm like, what?
Pyramids.
Yes, pyramids. And then there's 3 pyramids. It's inversion, sink, and then an open pyramid. Open pyramid. And then we move on to tosses, which is 3 as well. There's usually just
the first one's like a salto.
Yeah. Then there's a sink one, and then there's just an open toss. And then tumbling, which is duo, trio, quad, which is like the group ones. That's mainly to look at sink and technique, and then the individual tumbling, which is
so the first one is aerial, so there has to be 2 flight skills.
Yes.
So for people that are not savvy in their tumbling terms, that's 2 things in the air without hands.
Yes.
Yeah. And then there's 6 elements. So in the tumbling pass, you have to do 6 different things, and then open, which is a trend for the last event. Yep. And then team event.
Team event, yep. Where everyone just gets to go on the floor and have a good time.
Yeah, team event is like a combination of all of those other things that she just listed. Mm-hmm. So honestly, like I feel like whenever we try to explain what acro is with words, it can like kind of get a little confusing.
Yes.
I usually say like the best way to figure it out is to just watch us in person.
Yeah, it's best to just come and see what it's all about.
Yes.
To definitely see
Once you watch it, I feel like especially like parents or maybe like dads.
Yeah.
Once they watched it in person, they're like, okay, like this makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
So for you, when was like the first time that you watched an acro meet and maybe you're like, okay, I get it now?
I would have to be, I went to one of Fairmont's who's in our conference, their senior night to see one of my coaches perform. And I was like, oh, she like told me about it. I've seen like a couple things, but like I actually got to see the breakdown and like the actual competition style against only like one team versus what I used to do. So,
yeah.
Yeah.
Which also, you watched me compete then.
Yes, I did. I was like, I think she was on the team then.
Wait, okay, so your first time ever watching acro, I was out there competing. Yeah. That's kind of cool.
That is.
So whenever you first, do you know like about how old you would have been whenever you started like first hearing about acro?
I was probably like a freshman. It was starting to get like more prevalent because my coach would come back and forth from acro.
Yeah. Yeah. So I guess tell everyone and kind of like talk about what you did growing up, sports wise, cheer wise, which then led you to find out about acro.
Yeah. Okay. I did lots of like recreational sports just growing up. My parents really just threw me into whatever to keep me busy. But my main sport was all-star cheerleading. So that's like all the big name gyms get to go and compete, and you have like a 2-minute and 30-second routine that you can. It's on spring floor, so it's a little different than our dead floor, and you're with a range of 18 to middle school aged kids and get to do that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So growing up in like the all-star cheer world, let's start with how do you feel like that's the same as transitioning to acro whenever you come to college? Like what do you feel like you got from your competitive cheer experience that helps whenever you do acro now?
Definitely the team aspect of it, coming from like having to work with other people, and that would be the big part of like, I would say, and then having that stunting aspect and the like you kind of have a little bit of an idea of both, which is very helpful.
Yeah. So then what do you think is like the primary differences between your experience in cheer and then your experience in college doing acrobatics and tumbling?
Definitely like the technique part. Like cheer's more like showy, and like acro you want to like break it down and like make everything look perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also for anyone listening again that like doesn't know a whole bunch about acro, our team, we recruit primarily gymnasts and cheerleaders. So if you have someone like Abby coming in that has a cheer background, she has grown up around like stunting, so like throwing people in the air, catching them, tumbling, all of that. And then if we recruit somebody from a gymnastics background, they're really, really great at tumbling, but they maybe have like never actually worked with somebody else, like either holding them in the air or having someone else hold them in the air. So there's like the little bit of differences with that. What do you think you would want to like say to somebody if they're maybe in high school and they either are from gymnastics or from cheer and they're starting to look at options for college? What would you say to maybe like encourage them to look at acro or to consider doing acrobatics and tumbling in college?
I would say like really consider it because it gives you a lot of young women more of an opportunity to continue their athletic career in college, and just see what's out there. You never know what could happen, and especially if you're on that brink of getting tired of just your specific sport you grew up all the way doing and you're kind of feeling burnt out, you can kind of have a similar sport, but it also opens you like new doors and new aspects of the sport.
Yeah, absolutely. So what do you think you would say to somebody that was looking specifically at West Liberty? Because we'll get into more about like your whole story with how you ended up here.
Yes.
But if maybe there's like a high school athlete out there that's looking at West Lib, what would you say to them for like why you love it here?
Oh, definitely the atmosphere, how family oriented it is, and how like everybody's so supportive, not only like the other sports, but your professors and everybody on campus. And I just love the home aspect of it.
Yeah, absolutely. And then one other thing too that I was just thinking of as far as like making the decision to try something new in college. I know for me, I was very like skeptical. I was like, okay, I'm 18 when I'm graduating high school and going to college. I was also a cheerleader before I went and started doing acrobatics and tumbling. Um, but I was like, okay, like I've done the same thing my whole life. Like I know how to do this.
Yeah.
So I was very skeptical about being able to learn a new sport at 18. Not that that's old by any means, but like I felt like I was too old to learn something new. So what maybe do you think you would want to say to somebody that's like considering acro, but you're unsure about like the whole trying new
thing? I would say like for me, I wanted to like I was set on being like a cheerleader in college and everything, and I just wanted something that like would make me feel like empowered, and like with it being like a growing sport for women, it's just something to consider. I know it's scary to try new things, but I definitely think it's worth it to like because you're never too like yeah, you might feel old because you're graduating, but like everybody's starting at the same point. Where it's like it's a new sport for everybody coming into it, and the people that are there doing it will help you through it.
Yeah, and that's a really good point too. That really doesn't matter like what your background is, whether it's cheer or gymnastics, something completely different. It's going to be new for everyone whenever you're a freshman coming in. So that's a really good point. All right, so this is your 5th year doing acro.
Yes.
It's your 2nd year here with us.
Yes.
So I feel like everyone has like unique journeys for how you end up anywhere.
Yeah.
But yours I feel is like super different just with the circumstances because your freshman year of college was the 1920 school year.
Yes.
So if we remember what happened the beginning of 2020,
yes.
Talk a little bit about what it was like going through the recruiting process, choosing your first school, which was Urbana University.
Yes.
And then just what your first year was like dealing with something that not many people have to deal with.
Yes. So when I was looking at schools, I wasn't really sure. Like it was still kind of new, kind of. So I went. One of my coaches at my cheer gym went to Fairmont and was like, "I think you'd really enjoy this. It's like right up your alley." So I was like, and she ended up getting a coaching job at Urbana, and I was like, "Oh yeah, that like sounds great." So I ended up after graduating because I really wasn't sure what I wanted to do like school wise either. So I was just like, let me just kind of try it, might as well. And so I ended up at Urbana, and then COVID happened, and it was a very challenging time because everything was going online, and then I got the news that my school shut down. So that was like heartbreaking because it's like, oh, I'm supposed to spend 4 years here. And then, so I just had a process of learning the sport while also not being able to be in school. So it was just like a learning process and seeing like, oh, what I want to experience it, but like I'm not getting the full experience. So it was kind of weird. And then transferring, I would say it was stressful, but like there's a lot of like the coaching throughout acro, like there's a lot of people that are willing to communicate, and there's just great communication. I would say to help find what would be best suited for me and my personal lifestyle. So I would probably.
So then whenever you came here, last year was your first year at West Liberty. So you technically like you transferred in as a senior.
Yes.
So normally, I mean, I feel like all sports, all divisions, it's always different, but I feel like you don't typically see people transfer like later in college.
Yeah.
So what was it like coming onto a new team for the first year, but while being a senior and like also being like a leader, even though it was your first year here?
Yeah, it was nerve-wracking because I was like, oh, I hope they like me, and I'm like, I don't know, like you don't want to like I didn't want to come on too strong and be like I don't know, but it was so like welcoming, so I was like comfortable. But I also knew that like with my knowledge that I could like help benefit the team in ways that like maybe a younger person like is still learning.
Yeah.
So I can help the younger classmen, but also with them coming in and being new, I'm new, so I can kind of be on that same level as them, which is nice because they're like, I'm so nervous, and I'm like, me too, but I'm a senior, so but yeah, definitely that.
Yeah. So then last year, for me personally, I feel like we had a really great year. Like last year was one of the most fun years, I feel like.
Yeah.
And we actually kicked our season off this past year at Baylor University. And so being like a D2 school, small school in West Virginia, what was that like for your first meet of your senior year and then your first meet at a new school to get on a plane and fly to Texas and compete against the national champions?
It was undescribable. It was like I never thought that I would get the opportunity to do something like that big, and it's something I've always wanted to do. So it was very exciting and like definitely like nerve-wracking, but like in a good way. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. It was an experience, and I think it was nice to like go there and be there in the moment with like your teammates
and like
just
take it all in.
Yes. Because like you never know when you're gonna get that opportunity again.
Yeah, absolutely. And then last year we also had the opportunity to host the national championship here at West Liberty, which we unfortunately did not qualify as a team to compete.
Yes.
Which stinks. Like as competitors and as athletes, coaches, like we always want to be like doing our absolute best and competing at the highest level. But we were able to just be in the room watching some of the best compete.
Yes.
So from being able to finish the season last year watching just like we said the best schools in the nation competing in our gym, what do you feel like you took away from that personally, and what do you think the team took away from that to be able to have that drive going into this year to try to be there ourselves this year?
I think that it really like opened our eyes to see like how we need to put in the time and just like look at the little fine details that are going to set us apart from the other teams and really get us where we want to in the points area.
Yeah.
And just to be one as a team, because like you see the other bigger D1 schools that are like very team oriented and they're cheering each other on and getting each other excited. And I think that's something like the team can pull away and be like, I want to be at that point and I want to be at that level. So I have to give it all I can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which also for anyone that's watching or listening, acrobatics and tumbling is currently an NCAA emerging sport. So with that, Division 1, 2, and 3 still all compete together. So like when we hosted the national championship last year, there was 8 teams competing. 3 of those were Division 1 and 5 of those were Division 2. So we're still mixed completely all together when it comes to like winning a national championship. It's not just Division 2.
Yeah, it's not separated.
Is everyone in the country, which just pushes like
everyone to be better. Yeah,
pushes the skills, pushes just working hard so we can get to that level. So we are now just a couple weeks out from our first meet of the season.
Yes.
So excited.
Very.
But what are some of the things that you have just been really like working on this like fall and our off season training? And what are some of the things like as a team that you feel like we've improved on and that you're excited for like going into the season?
Yeah, definitely like personally I've wanted to like come in stronger and like with a great attitude and like ready to go. So I'm ready for the spring.
Yeah.
I think our team as a whole is working very well together. We're meshing and getting along and it's really nice.
Yeah.
I'm excited like how well we're like our drive to like learn new skills. Like we're trying to up our like making things a little different and working well together. So yeah.
No, I'm really excited too.
Yeah.
Just because I do feel like kind of like what you said, it's not just like if you come to our meet this year, you're not going to see the same thing. So last year, we have a lot more variety in our skills. Which this next question, people listening or watching, if they know acro, they'll be like, okay. And if you don't know acro, you're not going to understand at all what I'm about to ask her. But what's like your favorite skill that you've been working on recently? Or event?
I like 5 element.
Yeah.
That's fun. Yeah, that one. It's a half up, half around, those kind of things.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like when you get to toss people around.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too. That was, if I had to answer for you, that's what I would have said.
Yeah.
But what is your like favorite event, or what are you most looking forward to competing?
I always go with this, but it's compulsory acro.
Yeah.
Just because it sets the bar for the whole meet, and it's just like everybody's at the same level, like they do the same skills,
Yes.
and it comes down to who did it better.
Yes.
And so I like the competition aspect of it. So.
Which also, I feel like we're like, as we talk, we're just like continuing to teach people about acro.
Yes.
But for the compulsory event, every team across like the whole country, we have set skills that we do. So like we don't decide what we're going to do, it's set. So every single team does the same thing. So whenever we start off the meet, it's just direct, like head-to-head comparison for who does it better. And compulsory acro, like Abby said, is the first event. So like you got to be ready to go out there so strong to kick off the meet.
Yeah.
All right. Is there anything else that like you're just really thinking about for this season that you're looking forward to? Or, well, actually, I'll let you answer that first, and I thought of another question.
What I'm looking forward to? I'm looking forward to traveling. That's always fun with your teammates, getting on a bus, and just I just want to take it all in, especially with it being my last year. Being like acro is a big part of my life, so I just want to take it all in as much as I can. And I'm looking forward to just seeing how the season plans out, and I hope we make it to MECs, qualify lots of events, and then hopefully make it to nationals.
Yeah. So this is what I was thinking about too, right before I asked that last question. So if there's someone that's like listening or watching this episode and they've never watched acro before, what would you say to them to like encourage them to come to one of our meets to like see what it's all about?
Definitely, if you want to see something like cool and like be like, oh, is she supposed to be doing that? Like, come. It's not what you would expect.
Yeah.
You think it's just like the typical like, I don't know, cheer, like little routine kind of thing, but you get to see what some amazing athletes can do and how strong and powerful we can be.
Yeah.
So I think it's very
something
like, to see.
Fast paced.
Yes.
Like if you come and watch, there's always going to be something to
going
see
on.
because the teams just go back and forth. There's an active warm up, people doing stuff on the side. So it's not like certain things where you'd have to go and like you sit and you watch a team and then you have to wait.
Yes.
And then you see someone else. Like it is not like that. It is fast paced stuff going on the whole time.
Go. Yes.
Yeah.
And it's just fun to try and like guess like, oh, how's this one gonna be? What's this skill
gonna be? Yeah. Definitely. So like we had just said, this is going into your last season. This is your 5th year. Yes. What were some of your thoughts when making the decision to compete for your 5th year? Because your class was the last class for acro that got that extra year of eligibility because of the COVID year. Yes. So like, what was that decision-making process like to decide to compete for your 5th year?
Had a little bit to do with like school, like having to finish up. And it's just something like I wasn't ready to hang up the shoes yet. Yeah. I love being an student athlete, and I just love my team, and I was wanting to get another year here at West Lib. So, yeah.
So talking a little bit more about like academics, what is your major?
Exercise physiology.
Okay. And so then do you have like a reason why you chose that? I know you said in the beginning it was kind of hard at first. You didn't know exactly what you wanted to do.
Yeah, I just know like I like working with people, and exercise is like a big part of my life, and sports and everything like that. So that's probably why. And then like I thought about going like the medical route, but it just didn't really suit me. So I just really want to work with people.
Yeah. So then so you're graduating in the spring?
Yes.
Of this year. What are like maybe your future plans, or what do you have in mind?
I would love to be a coach for acrobatics and tumbling. That'd be like a goal of mine. Yeah.
So you also currently, like, along with being a student athlete and everything that you're doing here, you do coach cheer.
Yes.
So talk a little bit about what that's like spending time going back coaching at the gym that you grew up in, and then how you think that experience will help you to become an acro coach one day.
Yeah, it's younger girls, so it's like getting to see them with that excitement to learn new things again. It's like refreshing, and I do more of like I'm big on the tumbling aspect of it, which is cool because I get to see like the breakdown of learning the skills. And I think that will help me like in acro because like I can kind of take how I can teach a younger person and apply it to how I can teach it to like break it down for an older person.
Yeah. That makes perfect sense.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so when you're not, at school, at acro, or coaching, like if you have an actual off day to relax, what would you find yourself doing?
Probably hanging out with my family and going like kayaking or anything outdoors is mine. Yeah.
Fun. All right. So I was thinking about this, like since this is our first episode back after a little bit of a break for the holidays, and since it's called the Locker Room Podcast, I want to know, like, whenever it's meet day, when you go into the locker room, like, what is that going to look like for you? Like, what do you have to do in the locker room before you get ready to compete?
Usually it consists of braiding everybody's hair. That's a big one. Lots of music being blasted. I usually have a Gatorade and a Slim Jim and a Gatorade, or not a Gatorade, a granola bar before I go get ready, and then lots of sugar.
So you're ready, hyped up, ready to go?
Yep. And I kind of shake all the nerves away, and then I'm usually ready to go.
There you go. Okay. Well, is there anything else like acro this season, anything else that you're kind of thinking of before we do some rapid fire questions?
Not really. I'm just excited for the season and ready to see how it goes.
Me too.
Ready to get going.
All right. Well, we do have to do some rapid fire questions. This is like one of my favorite parts.
Okay.
So some of ours are going to be like sport specific, but acro or pyramids?
Oh, that's hard. Probably pyramids because it's definitely like a different kind of thing. Yeah.
All right. This one might be harder for you to answer, but in a different way than the first one.
Okay.
Tosses or tumbling?
Oh. Probably. I mean, tosses are really cool, but tumbling is like cool that I get to still do it.
Yeah.
So probably tumbling.
Yeah. All right. Would you rather do like a cardio workout or a weight training workout?
Definitely weight training.
I knew the answer to that one.
No, not cardio.
All right. What's your favorite pregame snack?
Oh, I like the little Sour Patch watermelon.
Ooh,
yeah.
I love those. What is like your pregame hype song?
Oh, probably like Paradise City,
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And then after a meet, what's your post-game meal?
Oh, probably like some kind of like steak or something.
Okay.
Yeah.
My Not getting that in the calf though. You have to wait for your parents to take you out.
Yeah, and be like, Mom, Dad. Yeah.
Nice. All right. So this is the last question. This is what we close all of our episodes with. So if you could go back to your freshman move-in day, what would you tell yourself then based off of what you know now?
Probably that it's all going to work out for the best and you're going to end up where you want to be in a place that you can call home. So,
aw,
yeah.
That's so sweet. All right. Well, thank you so much for being our guest today.
Thanks for having me.
Of course, I hope that people can watch this episode and not only get to know a little bit more about you, but they can get to know a little bit more about our sport and what this is all about, what we spend all of our time doing. We kick off our season on February 3rd, so we are under a month now. That's our first meet of the season. It's away, and then our first home meet of the season is here on February 16th. So mark your calendars now. It's a try meet in the ASRC. You got to come watch it. You'll love it.
It'll be exciting.
Yeah, it'll be so exciting. But for Hilltopper Athletics this week, we have our men's and women's basketball teams on the road both tomorrow and Wednesday. They're going to Fairmont State and Concord. Our track and field team is competing tomorrow at the Muskie meet, and our wrestling team is on the road both Sunday and Thursday at Mount Union and Notre Dame College. As always, make sure to follow WLU Athletics on all of our social media platforms like Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. Follow the Locker Room Podcast on Instagram and subscribe to us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts so you don't miss any of our exciting updates or announcements. And just thank you all so much for listening, and make sure that you tune in next week when I'm back to talk to freshman wrestler Nico Taddy.